Welcome to Powerbombshells episode 21. We're old enough to drink.
Woo!
It's Sam and Mel here in. I've got my drinking horn.
She's got her drinking horn.
I've got
nice.
A little commitment afterward. Well, volunteer appearance. Doing the Ren Fair stuff.
Yeah.
For the 3rd anniversary
nice.
of our local brew pub.
So then the horn. Oh, you can see Miley apparently.
Hey, Miley.
She's been asleep. I left her for a long time yesterday because I was telling Mel I went to see Garth Brooks with my sister and my mom, and so we were gone for a really long time yesterday. So she's been like wanting to stay with me, and then I knew this was gonna happen. I was like, as soon as I hit record, she's gonna want to. Hopefully, somebody will come get her, or I'll just have to get up and let her out. But yeah, so I figured I was like, okay, well, she's sleeping, maybe, which I should know better because I was taking an online class, and like 2 weeks ago, I don't let her in here during class, and so I let her in after the break because she was sleeping, and she slept through me taking we were taking notes and stuff, and then we went to do like a little group thing, and like as soon as I cut my mic on to talk to my classmates, she wanted down. I was like, Miley, you do this every time.
Every time.
I was like, I should have known better. I should have just kicked her out.
Doesn't matter. They will sleep through like all kinds of crazy stuff and not care at all. And then the minute you like go live, or my favorite is like, because I, spend some time on hold with various people, and anytime you call in like a medical situation, like where you have to call medical, you're on hold for a while, and they'll just sit there, and I'll keep it on speaker, and as soon as the person answers, and that's when they start like, yep, okay, all right, yep. The good news is most people have been working remotely long enough that it's become basically forgivable. One of the people that I watched on YouTube forever used to just let his cat would just like walk all over behind him and sit on like his shoulder sometimes. Yeah. And I was like, it adds character.
It does. And it's more authentic, and it's relatable, and it's real life basically. Because a lot of us have pets, and they all do the same thing where they are acting inappropriate at the wrong times. I mean, look at Paul, how many times he's recording his cats have like gotten into a fight while he's recording and things like that. So it happens.
I enjoy when Max really bothers Lance Storm, because then he starts like calling him like, and being a frustrated pet parent that I fully understand. So I was like, yep, totally. Yeah. And I mean, Kevin Smith's podcast, he used to let his dog just go crazy in the background. So I was like,
well, I mean, it happens.
This is
their
cuter.
Dogs. Yeah, it is cuter. And I was like, they're dogs. They're gonna be dogs.
Dog's gonna dog.
Yes.
We have made it, episode 21.
Yay!
I can't believe it.
Being legal.
We're legal. We're finally legal. This have to be born after this day in what, 2002 or something.
Something like that. I have to do.
I don't want to think about it. Anyway,
I'm moving right along.
Anywho, let's talk about wrestling. That's
way more. Take a sip of my rosé then. I don't want to think about that.
I've got my drinking horn here. I have to set it in the thingy. So toast to us.
Yay, we made it.
Powerbombshells. And to all of you nice folks who have been hanging out with us and commenting and up-liking and all the other stuff. It's really cool. It's been a lot of fun. And
thank you.
I really like Sam, so.
Yeah, and I really like Mel. And we didn't know each other until like 2 or 3 weeks before we did this. Right. And so we've been learning about each other as we go, and luckily we get along really well, and we like a lot of the same things. And we've also have a lot of experience with we've talked about with rescue pets and things like that. So we have so outside of wrestling, we have some cool things that that we like, that we both like. So it's really cool. So shout out to Garrett for making that happen and putting us together, because it's worked. So
he's pretty good at it. There's some people a couple of hosts over time have like said we didn't know each other until we started this. I'm like, Garrett's good at that.
He is.
He's pretty good at it. So.
Yeah, he's got a really good eye for it. So thanks, Garrett.
Thank you, Garrett. We
and
appreciate
enjoy your
it.
vacation. I don't know when you'll see this, but enjoy your vacation if you see it. I'm glad you're finally getting to go this time.
Finally gets to go on his vacation. I was actually so happy when I heard. I was like, I wish that he would unplug, but he's not that kind of person.
He will do the best he can.
He didn't answer me right away when I messaged him to get back on the streamer.
So there you go. See,
I was like, phew, okay, good.
All right, so I guess we will talk about what we watched this week.
And yeah, you go.
Okay, so we started out. Well, I watch Dark and Elevation every week because I time women's matches, and usually I know somebody who's on there, and so it's just habit now. I don't usually watch it live; it's generally later in the evenings. But this week was definitely one that I wanted to make sure I saw, and I hope a lot of people checked out, especially because we got two really awesome pay-per-view level matches for free. The first match was Thunder Rosa versus Miyu Yamashita, and it came from the TJPW Summer Sun Princess event. That's their big prestigious event that they do. And so Thunder Rosa did not have her title on the line. However, the match was an eliminator title match, and that means that if Miyu won, that she would get a future title shot against Thunder Rosa. And guess what? She did that. So that was that's the first. Well, I take that back. I was gonna say it's the first time I've seen Miyu. So I did see her when she was on Elevation a few weeks ago, but Elevation, she was in a tag match. That was the first like full length match that I got to see of her, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that match was great. It was fun to watch Thunder Rosa really go like in a not different style, but different style. And, I was really excited because what they've done instead of like, just showing the match is they've taken the broadcasts from the, so TJPW's broadcast, and they essentially, they gave you their broadcast. So you didn't just get to see this match, you got to see it, how their promotion works.
Right.
And I really like that because I like seeing what other places are doing and what it looks like, and how fans are reacting to things. And I know that they're pretty big deal with a lot of people. I mean, we have Scott here that does like a million, billion, zillion women's Joshi Pro shows and all that stuff, and I wish that I could watch as much as him because I know that they're excellent. It was fun because it was like, here's our champ from here going over there, and we've already started the kind of like little mini crossovers,
right? And and we've talked about that a few episodes ago when Thunder Rosa won. Like, this is what she wanted, was to go be at other promotions and represent AEW, whether it was a title match or not. And so I'm really glad to see her be the one to do that. And and we talked about, Thunder Rosa she has some experience in Japan, but she's wrestled in Stardom before, so it's really cool to kind of see her get back over there. And I guess some of the fans were probably somewhat familiar with her already, and so. And of course, a lot of American fans got exposed to Miyu and what she does, and about, because, you hear what, a lot of the conversation is, who has the best women's wrestling in the world. And it's TJPW and Stardom are the two that, we hear a lot about. And so it was really cool to see Thunder Rosa be able to do that. And the fact that, that Miyu won, so that we're going to see her again. I'm wondering if it's going to be at All Out, is my guess.
That would be a fun spot to put it.
Yeah, and that would get her on, because I think we talked about that last week, where you were saying they need to get her on American TV, on AEW TV, so that we know who she is. And so that definitely, putting it on YouTube is definitely a really great exposure. But they're gonna have, a lot of people will not go to YouTube, and they don't watch Dark, and they wouldn't go out of their way to watch this. So he's got to get her in front of the national audience, who are, I guess, the casual fans, or the ones who just they're like hardcore AEW fans who just refuse to watch Elevation and Dark because they don't want to do the shoulder content. Like, I have some friends who are just like, I don't do the shoulder content, which is understandable. So I think they need to get her on TV prior, like, a few matches prior, hopefully, so that fans can know who she is. And that way the match makes more, it's, I guess, a bigger deal I mean, because it's already a big deal, but I think so to make it even more meaningful, I think that they need to have her on TV with Rampage or Dynamite. I think would be really smart. So hopefully that's the route that they go. But I'm really glad to see that their relationship with DDT and TJPW, like it's allowing cool stuff to that to happen.
Seriously.
Because I mean, yeah, I never would have thought that that we'd see something like that like on their YouTube channel for free. Like that's just really cool.
I think a lot of people that aren't usually watchers of the shoulder content, the YouTube shows and all the other, I saw a lot of them tuning in, and that was cool. Yeah. So it was like, all right, I'm gonna break my I don't watch the YouTube,
right?
Rule, because I want to check this out. And so it was like, oh, cool. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still about the wrestling, and it was nice.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I think it's time to get her in front of. I mean, some people don't have time for YouTube. Some people aren't good with YouTube, so they don't. I mean, I know that like it's like half the population that's our TV now,
right?
And the other half are like.
And there's so many people who don't have, because and the internet is everywhere, but there's a lot of people in different areas that don't have access to good internet, to good, strong internet. So they can't even if they wanted to watch it on YouTube, they don't necessarily have access to it. So
kill a match going to the I mean, that's one of my biggest deals with New Japan. I have to like wait until the right time because sometimes my internet doesn't want to work, and if it slows down, I'm like, you're screwing up the match.
That's just me trying to watch it on Roku. I've got to get a new one. Mine's old. It's weird because Roku works with every other app that I watch. It works perfectly fine, but with New Japan, it runs really slow and it will lag during matches, and it's a pain in the ass, and I need to just upgrade it. But I always forget, and then I always forget until I'm watching something, and then I'm like, why haven't I ordered this yet? I'm surprised I haven't ordered one at 2:00 in the morning yet because I'm mad about New Japan. It's gonna happen during the G1. I'm probably gonna end up ordering.
This might be the final straw.
I should have ordered it during Prime Day, and then I actually looked at them, and then I forgot about it because I had so much going on last week. So. But I think another really cool thing that helped it was the commentary with Taz and Excalibur.
Yes.
They're so good together. And it was really funny because the shows were bookended by big matches in other countries. So they like pretended that basically
it was Taz. It was Taz.
It was Taz.
He like started it, and he was killing me with how come because he did it immediately. How come they didn't pan over to our table? How come they didn't show our commentary? And you could hear Excalibur trying. He tried really hard for a long time to no sell it and just keep going. But he just got to a point where he couldn't. And this happens often with those two.
Yeah.
But for this case where he's like, now how are we going to get from here to here when we get, and then he's like, well, now we're in the UK. And he was like, it was the point when he said to Excalibur, it's you and your magic jet that have gotten us all over the world today. It was all over. I was dying.
Taz is so great, and he and Excalibur crack me up. And usually because it's a YouTube show, then Excalibur will usually just start laughing immediately.
They go after it
because he was trying to be a little bit more professional, and
because it was a different
because it's a different promotion. So he was trying to be like I gotta be serious, I gotta hold it together. And Taz was just like, no, I'm gonna pop him. I'm gonna break. It was like his mission to break Excalibur, and it worked. It took a while, but he made it happen.
I was proud of Excalibur because I was like, he is doing an amazing, and you can hear it in his voice. Like, he's trying.
Yeah.
But he's also trying, and I think you said it, you nailed it, is that he wanted it he was like, I don't want to make fun of these matches. I want to make sure that people like get a real high. And that's what makes him, I think that he should be the lead commentator at this point. I think it should be his table. Tony Schiavone's great, but he's it's fine. It's time for someone new. And Excalibur, he learned from Kevin Kelly, or at least sharpened his skills from Kevin Kelly.
Yeah.
And now he's hit his stride that he is like,
And it kind of seems like that might be where they're moving to, because, now we're seeing JR not come out till 9 o'clock now.
Rescheduling him.
Yeah, and they're scheduling him later which I think is smart. And I think it probably helps JR to be able to only call portions of them, portions of the show. But he's been doing Rampage too, which is interesting, because JR used to not, it wasn't him. And of course we've talked about it, I wish they would just take Jericho off commentary.
Yeah, Jericho is too focused on himself.
Yeah, which I get. He's the heel character, and that's what he's doing. But he talks so much, and he yells, and he talks over. Like, when I was doing recaps and trying to listen, like, I would type and try to, of course I was watching, but I was trying to listen to things, and he would talk while I was trying to get information. And I was like, you're taking away from people who are trying to listen and trying to learn things and trying to listen to what moves are, especially because moves are called so many different things and stuff like that. And Excalibur is really good about, sometimes he'll explain why it's called a lariat, not a clothesline. And he's good about things like that. And then so Jericho, I get it, it's the character thing, we've talked about it before, it's the podcast, he feels like he constantly has to talk, but he just doesn't let anything breathe, and he talks over other people, and it's just, I wish they would just take him off commentary.
It's cute once in a while. It needs to be a once in a while deal when it's something specific. But as he's just not a commentator. He's an in-ring talent, and he's Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean,
exactly. Take him off commentary. Yeah, and it's very different than when CM Punk does commentary, or in WWE when they would have Kevin Owens do commentary. I loved Kevin Owens on commentary because he was so funny, but he knew he didn't. I mean, of course he did, and to an extent, make it about himself because he was a heel. But on the other hand, he knew when to back off, and CM Punk is really good about that too. But it's Jericho, and I know, like I said, it's the Jericho character, but it's too much.
It becomes distracting from what's going on.
Yeah, and then especially because Excalibur and Taz have such great chemistry together that it's it kind of overshadows. I mean, Jericho, it's almost I don't know if it's is Jericho getting jealous now that Taz is getting better, and so he's just constantly, because even when Team Taz is out there, then of course you're going to hear Taz be pro Team Taz, or he still makes comments about Dante Martin, how he's a snake and all this stuff, but he doesn't overdo it. He gets back to his job. And so I think that him being with Excalibur has really helped, and so I would like to see more Taz on commentary, or just get Jericho off of Rampage commentary.
Yeah.
Please.
It's too much. He's just not, he's my least favorite. And out of all of them, in terms of it's distracting.
It is.
And so you of all people should know that we should be paying attention to what's going on in the ring. Not on the commentary.
Exactly. And it's different.
You're supposed to be telling the story or helping the story along, not becoming the story when it's. And in those cases, I know some of the rampages, and I wonder if that's some of the reason people have been skipping it or avoiding it, is that things like that, or
it could definitely have an effect on fans, especially because the Jericho character is featured so heavily with Jericho Appreciation Society, and a lot of people just do not like it, or they're just, in my case, I'm just over Jericho in general. And then he did go to the UK for a week, and I was like, no, that's not what I meant. And then he had filmed a backstage segment before he went on tour, and so because he was because my sister's like, is he still in the UK? And I was like, yeah, I saw him retweeting stuff about his show from that night, but I was like, yeah, so they pre-taped that segment with him before he left. It's so he wouldn't miss. And I was like, that's not what I meant when I said he needed to go on tour with Fozzy. I didn't mean for him to still be on TV at the same time. I guess I was not clear in that. Because clearly Tony listens to me, and so I need to be more
he
clear.
Must watch the show. I mean, he has so much time. He's awake 100% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just Powerbombshells is available now. I forgot this.
Yes, let me go see what they say. Oh, they don't like Jericho. Let me take him off commentary.
Fix that. Let me put someone else on there.
Yeah. So there were some good matches that I hope people kind of stuck around for. But they may have just skipped to the main event, because the main event was awesome. It was PAC went to Rev Pro, and he had his very first title defense of the All Atlantic Championship against our boy Shooter.
Yeah.
And the fans love them from Shooter. I mean, they love Pac because Pac is from there, and he was at times it was split, but at times it was a very pro Shooter crowd because it's where Shooter's been wrestling for the last like year. I think guess it's been a year or something like that, but he's been there and he's been like they've seen him come up through the ranks and see him improve and getting better and better, and so that was a very pro Shooter crowd for most of the match.
He is like. He's got his big boy body on now.
Mm-hmm.
That kid is a star. That's a main eventer. Like that's a future main eventer.
Yeah. And to put him with somebody like Pac speaks volumes. And like we said, like, I mean, obviously he showed out in Forbidden Door. Like people, if you do, so of course some people obviously they didn't know him from New Japan and they weren't familiar with him, and so that was like their first taste, like real first taste of Shooter, and I think people were impressed and they're like, who is this guy? And then they're like, oh, now we're putting him in a title match against Pac, like he must be a big deal, and he is a big deal. And I think and he took Pac to his limit, like he was toe to toe with Pac all match long, which
is great.
Yeah, and then it was funny. It's been a while since I've watched a show with the British fans, and so they were singing a lot. They were singing about how he was a bastard, and it's great.
They like to do their football chants.
They do, and I think,
British,
and it's
fans.
Great to kind of see Pac just because he kind of played into it, like he was dancing around a little bit, and then he, of course, like kicked Shooter in the face like right after. So, but it was cool to see because he just seems because Pac is such a serious character, and because he's the bastard and he's angry and he's mad and he's just wants to beat people up and kick their asses, and which he does, but so it's nice to see him kind of let loose a little bit and kind of see that, you know, he does know how to have fun when he wants to. And I don't know if that's just being in front of the England crowd that kind of made him do it, or if it's because he's a champion, he's the very first title holder of this belt. He gets to determine what this title is and what it means. And so I don't know if it's just kind of that, or maybe it's just the combination of the two, but it was really nice to see him kind of not be so rigid throughout the match. And so it was, and he just seemed to have it seemed like he was really enjoying himself, and maybe it was just also the opponent too, because his Shooter was such a good opponent for him. He
goes so hard.
He does. Yes. There were some moves, and he just took. I think one time it was Excalibur said that he put his voice box on the barricade or something like that, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Enough.
It was intense at times, and there were times that Shooter looked like he was going to get the win, which was really cool to see. Like Pac gave him a lot, I think, and Shooter he ran with it. And I think that he looked incredible. And I hope that we get to see, whenever his excursion is over, that we get to see some more Shooter. Because I think definitely I would love to see them run that back with Shooter and Pac, because it was really, really good. And so if you have not gone to watch it, please, I highly recommend going out of your way to watch it.
Yeah, it was excellent.
It was a long match too. I think it was like 20 minutes.
No, it was a serious. You got a real match. It was a real title defense match. It wasn't some like 6-minute deal. It was a real, actual defense of the thing, and they knew that they were they knew that they were going to be part of AEW, and that it was going to be something that they were carrying on one of their things, and they made the most of it. And I don't know, that kid seems like he only has one speed now. He's
hit his groove, and then that's just what he sticks with.
I'm excited for what's coming with him, just because. And I mean, you do get that, in our case, because we've watched him since Moxley adopted him in his first G1 back, and it was and he was already a really impressive wrestler.
Yeah.
And Moxley, I guess, just was like, this kid's really cool. I'm going to help get him over. And
right. And he did in 2 seconds. And now that's just people still, and it's really cool. He still comes out with his Death Rider jacket.
Yep.
And then he did the Mox,
yep.
The walk.
He was doing the walk.
That's really great. It's so good that because he knows that the fans love that. And so they love Shooter for who he is, but they know that the history with Mox. And so he always kind of finds a way to kind of fit that in a little bit, which I think is really cool to see.
And smart.
Yeah, it's very smart. Yeah. And so I hope one day down the line, whether it be an AEW or just how the events line up, but I would love to see Takeshita versus Shooter someday. I guess that would be like of like the current stars or the up and coming stars. Like I think that would be a dream match between
that is a good one.
I think those two would they would kill it. I was like, they would kill it now, but could you imagine even if it takes a few years to get to that match, like what they're gonna be like? It's crazy to think of like where they're gonna be in like 5 years.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine.
Because they're both and they're
main eventing the Tokyo Dome,
right? Oh my god, right. And I think are they the same age? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Is Shooter?
He's like
or Shooter younger.
20...
I know Takeshita just turned 27.
Right.
I think
because they've brought it up a lot.
Yeah, and then because he's been wrestling since he was 16, and
right.
Yeah, he had his first match at 16, and then Shooter.
I think Shooter's like 20.
Or is he 22? Or
23? 22. That
something
sounds
like
right
that.
to me.
But still, like, look at how good they are already.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be. These two are like naturals, and they're gonna be fun to watch. And they're kind of. I think they may even kind of have like parallel careers. Like even if they stay in separate companies, we're gonna see a lot of like similarities and just a lot of parallel things that they do, which is going to be really cool for wrestling fans to see. And it's really cool that American fans are getting to if just fans outside of Japan in general are getting exposure to this and get to see like there's this incredible talent pool in Japan. And to see them not be in WWE and how that system works, because like we saw what they did to Kushida and and what they're doing with Eichmann, like they put him with Kushida, and then when Kushida left, I was like, because I mean, of course, I don't watch NXT anymore, but I got really concerned. I was like, they were already doing this terrible comedy stuff. Like, I guess it was trying to be like the comedy of DDT Pro, but it wasn't. It was just really bad. And so when I heard,
but it's Vince, it's through Vince's eyes,
right? So. Exactly. And so then when Kushida. I mean, God, their tag name was Jacket Time. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah. And so when I heard Kushida was leaving, I was like, good for him. And then I was like, oh God, what's going to happen to Eichmann? I was like, oh no. So, so it's nice. So this is what they should be doing. Yeah. And this is what they should be presented like. So it's nice to see that some American companies get it and try to, because even Impact, like they do well with them as well. So
yeah, definitely. And the amount of inclusion that they've had as well, where they let Impact them wrestle their style, and it's good for the wrestlers here to have that experience.
They need to have, they definitely.
Different styles. I mean, the idea behind the whole Japanese system there is that they go around and learn all the different styles so they can come up with a style.
Which is brilliant.
That's awesome.
And like it makes so much sense. And then we get to, and that's what they were even talking about with Shooter, because he kept doing the European uppercuts, and they were like, clearly that's something he's picked up here, and he was just hitting Pac with him. And which obviously Pac, that's his background is obviously European wrestling. And so like Shooter was ready for him and like had it and was ready for all that. So I thought that was really cool too. But so so like we said, just go out and watch those for sure. And then
the next one is going to be on July 22nd in OTT at OTT in Dublin, in their new location that they have all fixed up.
Very cool.
And I always give the shout out, give the love to OTT, loving them. Faves. It's gonna be LJ Cleary versus Pac. And
are you familiar with LJ
Cleary? I am
Cleary?
not familiar with LJ Cleary, but I was asking John about him, and he said that he's a pretty good wrestler. It should be a good match. The more thing is that the last time Pac was in town, apparently they have a little heat, the Irish and the English, and that heat manifests wonderfully in the. And the Irish fans are a lot different than they won't be singing. You know what I mean?
poor Pac. Nobody's gonna sing about how he's a bastard. And I'm gonna
they won't
about
be
bastards, me and my microphone.
They might be calling him things. And they are rabid. Like it's fun to watch those shows. I've actually back when they were running, I would buy their pay-per-views occasionally, because the people who do their video and promos they've got that on lockdown.
They have incredible because I've seen a couple Scrapper Mania shows, and that's really it. I think I saw something else, but I saw a lot of the promo, like their promo packages, and they are some of the best promo
Matt
packages.
Macklin is a man. He is like, it's amazing. Even, I mean, it got so high that like Dave Meltzer was like, these are amazing. And it's like and when you watch the pay-per-views, what's cool about it is that because he apparently does like a lot of the staging himself as well, so he knows what he's getting.
Right.
But they have a way of making their venues, and that last venue was it needed to be changed. It was time for a new venue. But they still had a way of making it look bigger, like a legitimate indie promotion sort of deal, even. And so I'm excited to see they've got this new location. It's right in downtown Dublin, and I know that everyone will be, because everyone there will know exactly what their job is, because they are all like that.
Right.
And I mean, I'm just really excited, and I'm glad that it's going to be, hopefully they'll show it. I imagine they'll show it like they have everything else.
Probably so.
I love this exposure to other promotions thing.
Yes.
This is it's a great thing for everyone.
Yeah, it is. And I think, and if, because Tony wants to get them into the UK, we've talked about how he wants to have the really big show, but even still, and the fans want, they're always, that question comes, like on every media call, that question comes up, when are you coming to the UK? That question, literally every single time that question comes up. And so I think it's really smart that they're building, and I think we touched on this last week, that they're building up, like they're exposing those fan bases and letting the fan bases know, like, hey, we know you're here. We appreciate your support. Here's PAC to come have a title match. Like, we're going to eventually, it might take some time because of everything going on, but we haven't forgotten you. We know you're here. We appreciate you. And we're going to eventually come see you, so that then when they do get there, maybe they don't sell at the giant venue, but they've got they've got the fan base there. And so I think that's
New
nice.
Japan played the Copper Box back a couple of years ago. I think Suzuki wrestled Okada. But New Japan did it. It was called Royal Quest, and it was in London. And so for most of the Europeans, if you have a European passport, it's actually not that long, and it doesn't cost so terribly much.
Right.
To fly there. So for some of those, like, especially on that side of Europe, I think that, because Tony's not talking about filling up a little stadium, he's talking about filling up a football stadium it's not small.
No,
and
not by any means.
So you're going to need to have a draw like Forbidden Door, where you're pulling people in from outside, especially in those, because those countries aren't as huge. I mean, they're big deals, but they're small countries. I mean, there's the same number of people in Manhattan as there are in Ireland. It's
right.
And that's one city versus a country.
Exactly.
But to get those people to want to get on an airplane, and I guess, I mean, New Japan is talking about doing another show there as well in the fall. And I mean, everyone I know that cares is like, I'd go to that right now.
Right. Yeah.
Book it. We're in. So I think that I don't know. I think if he wants to do a UK show, I think he's going to have to draw in some people from maybe the mainland continent or, Ireland or some of those other countries.
Yeah, and it seems like that's kind of what he's doing. Like, he's laying the groundwork for that. Like, he's letting the
fans,
hope
so.
Yeah, that's what it kind of seems like. So it'll be, I think once they finally get there, like, it's going to be a huge deal. So I think he's being smart about it. And so and utilizing YouTube, which that's another way. I know sometimes YouTube, you can't be viewed in other countries, but I think with this, they probably can get around it. So then international fans can take a look at Dark and be like, okay, so this is what's happening. So I think that's a really cool thing too. So I think utilizing YouTube in that way. And obviously it just brings more eyeballs to Dark in general and what Dark is doing. Because it was funny because I actually just wrote an article for Daily DDT last week about how Elevation and Dark deserve more respect for what it is that they do, because people think that it's WWE main event when it's not. Like during the pandemic, like they gave people paychecks, and there were independent wrestlers who were not getting work, and they not only got a paycheck, but they got exposure to new fans. And so Tony was really smart, and he's kept it up. Like he's still booking indie talent, whether it's indie talent in that city, or he's flying them into Orlando and things like that. And so he's giving people a chance. Like they're learning how to work on camera. They're learning how to work with like a professional system, basically with like with better lights and, you know, sound systems,
angles and timing and
and then and even another point is people who have just been in the WWE system for so long, like they can go and kind of work different ways and kind of unlearn what WWE taught them, so that they can see with how AEW flows and how it works. And they get to work, a lot of these younger wrestlers get to work with people of so many different backgrounds and experiences. And so there are some things that should improve. And I talk about the women's matches all the time and how short they are, especially on a YouTube show where you have plenty of time. So, but there are some really great positives to it. And then I think utilizing that platform to put big matches like that which is kind of what they were doing in the pandemic. Like, you know, they had like the second episode was Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela. And that's been one of the best matches in AEW. That's a match that's still talked about. And so I think that, you know, because they kind of got away with it, was just they were putting, and a lot of it is they do pad records. I mean, that's what they did to Britt. They sent her there, she padded her record. That's how she got to be the number one contender, which is smart. It's still programming, and it's still, and some people, because they love Britt Baker so much, they're going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go watch Dark because I want to watch Britt Baker. Are they sticking around for the whole show? Maybe not. Maybe they're just watching hers. But so I think kind of bookending it was really smart too. Like they kicked it off right away with Thunder Rosa, and then they closed it with PAC, which was really obviously very smart. So I hope that they keep utilizing that. And so that people keep tuning in and getting some eyes, and then they can see some other talent. I mean, of course, yes, they can fast forward and just skip to the other matches, but if they stick around, then there's stuff in between that they can see. And there's wrestlers they know, like Dark Order is frequently on there. Private Party is on there sometimes. I mean, that's unfortunately the only place you can see Sunny Kiss. If you want to watch a Sunny Kiss match, you gotta watch Elevation or Dark, because that's where they are. Which Daily DDT also wrote an article. One of my site editors wrote a really nice article about why Sunny Kiss needs to be on TV. So we are very pro Sunny Kiss, and we want Sunny Kiss on TV and everywhere. But speaking of some of the good stuff that AEW is doing, we had a very nice surprise on at the end of Dynamite on Wednesday. I was not expecting. And of course, like, and we were like, oh God, another triple threat tag team match. Like they've done this 3 times already. Like, of course, like the match is going to be good. Both teams are great. And somebody had pointed out, and I think it might have been on the Boom, or maybe it was the Dynamite show. They had pointed out, like, why didn't the Young Bucks come out and make it be Swerve In Our Glory versus Hobbs and Starks, and then the winner of that match would be the number one contender? Why are they going straight into the triple threat? But I guess this is why, because I mean, it still would have made more sense, but they were just like, and so they just went right into it. And the match was crazy.
They're like, hey, we got a pay-per-view in 6 weeks. We got to get these things going. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
We got 2,800 belts to give out here.
Yeah, and we know obviously things were kind of thrown off at Double or Nothing, and then after Double or Nothing, it was the Dynamite after, and the whole thing with the Hardys, and that kind of threw things off. So it seems like they just kind of went with the Hardy and the Young Bucks to kind of I guess maybe a little bit of a band-aid, just to kind of put it on a team. And it gives them, they became the first.
Well, they're popular, and they're never gonna, no one's, I mean, even when they're heels,
they're phenomenal heels. Because, and they're the first tag team to win twice.
Right.
But it had been a really long time since they held their first title. It's not like they're just booking because they're EVPs. They're not just booking themselves the win. Like, it had been a really long time. It had been well over a year since they had those titles.
As a matter of fact, a lot of people complained early on that they were booking themselves to lose too much. Them, Kenny, and it was like, I get what you're saying, but
yeah, they're doing what they should do. They're putting other.
They're also saying like they want these young people to be. They know that they're not going to be the main guys on the show forever. And they wanted to start right away getting like Darby and I mean, at the time, MJF.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Imminently.
Jungle Jack Perry.
And it seems like
Jungle Man.
One of the kind of missteps there, though, I do think I understand what they were doing with Jurassic Express. They were trying to put a title on Jungle Boy,
right?
Which made sense, and he deserved the title because he was the first one to 50 wins and that type of thing. And as a pillar, like, he was the only one who had not had a title yet. But at the time, LAX, well, Proud and Powerful were like the it team, and everybody thought that they were going to get it. And now we're finding out there's apparently some dissension between Ortiz and Santana. Apparently they are not getting along at all. Santana has been doing some indie bookings by himself. He was in Terminus. He was, I think, Terminus 2, and he had an outstanding match with I think it was Jonathan Gresham, and it was really good. And he's been kind of doing his own thing, and then now he's injured. He got injured in Blood and Guts, and according to, I saw a quote, Jericho was on some podcast, and he claims that he's out for 8 months.
Oh geez.
So clearly they're completely out of the title picture now. So which may be another reason they kind of went the route that they did. But it's so, and now with the way things are going, I mean, I don't know that Proud and Powerful is going to have a chance to do it again, because, if those rumors are true, and then when he comes back from injury, like, they just might be done. Maybe they separate. I don't know. So, so there's just another twist in the tag team. There's a lot going on in that tag team division, but there's a lot of other things that are going, some outside stuff. We don't know how long Jeff Hardy is going to be gone. He could be gone for a very long time. And we may never get the Hardys again. That may have been it. Matt's gotten much, they're both older. Matt has said that before, that, they're on the back end of their careers and things like that. So that might have been it for them as well. So now we have, but then we have two phenomenal tag teams who do deserve recognition, and that's Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, who are phenomenal together. Great. And then you have Swerve In Our Glory, who's also phenomenal. And yeah, they were kind of the tag team that we threw together because they had some stuff, and then it worked, and then people kept wanting to see them, and it's turned into this whole thing. And then, it's undeniable what they've done. And so I think it was smart to put the titles on them. I didn't expect a title change then, which is another nice thing to see, that you never know what's going to happen on live TV.
Yeah, right.
It plays into that. And you will see at the beginning of our show that it's just a picture of Swerve. It's not because we don't love Keith Lee. If you've watched the show, you know how much we love Keith Lee.
We love Keith Lee.
It was the only picture with confetti, and this is our 21st episode, and we are celebrating. And then so they didn't have a picture of the confetti with both of them, or just if they
even though there was 8 tons of it, they still couldn't get it in the picture.
I was like, out of all of these pictures, this is the one picture you have with confetti, and you can barely even see it. Like, it's kind of like when it's the smaller picture, you can see it, but but yes. So it's not because we are anti Keith Lee. We love him. It's just we need the confetti. But yeah,
I bask in his glory oft
every day.
Oft bask. He's, and I mean, I was lucky. I got to see him at our local right before because he had like basically just signed with WWE, and he was like on his way to the Performance Center, and he was kind of making his last tour of places. And so I got to see him and Matt Riddle in a banger, and we got to talk to him. Mm-hmm. We wandered over, and we were buying shirts, and it just so happened that he was like, there was a moment where we actually got to have a conversation. And I've obviously read articles written about him, and they did an interview a little while ago about like just him talking about being himself, and how because he's a big guy, people expect him to do a certain style of wrestling, but he doesn't do that style of wrestling. And he doesn't feel comfortable doing that stuff. Like, it's not him. And it's clear when they try and do him doing that kind of wrestling, it doesn't work for him because it's not him. He's a standing moonsault guy. I don't care that he's as big as Mark Henry.
Right.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
Jeff Cobb.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
Just like guys like that can do that now. And you should be frankly embracing that. I mean, I'm so glad that Swerve and Keith Lee they've come to the show, and it was very exciting to see them. But they're immediately out. I mean, we're like a couple months in.
Yeah,
they've been here.
Yeah,
we're gonna put a belt on them. We're seriously gonna push them. We're not kidding when we bring these people in. Like,
yeah, because there's been a lot of complaints, which rightfully so. I mean, you look at what happened with Ruby Soho and
Ruby
things like
is
that.
one. And
and so there are a couple. So they're
trying really hard with like Toni Storm, I think.
They are. And so that's been
again.
kind of the argument. But then you see, and that was a little bit of the argument with Swerve. They're like, oh, well, they just put Swerve and Keith Lee in a tag team because they didn't have anything else for them to do. And it was like, no, they booked them in a match that was supposed to just be a one-time thing, or maybe 2 times, and it worked so well that they gave themselves a name, and they like, it works and the fans love them, so let's keep it going. And now we do have, and then I think another thing that's really cool with it, because I saw when Swerve paused and considered using the title on Keith Lee, I told my sister then, I said, they're gonna win those titles. And I was like, and then Swerve's going to find out what happened. And I was like, and so there's going to be this little tiny seed of dissension between them that they're going to ignore, kind of like the Kenny and Hangman thing. But Hangman, it was because Hangman was jealous, or not jealous, but it was because he was in his own, like, he was just paranoid basically with everything going on at the time. So it seems like they're kind of doing that here with, can you trust Swerve, or is Keith going to be the one to turn on Swerve because he doesn't trust Swerve? He's going to get him before he gets Scott. It's like type of thing. But I think I'm hoping they're going to give them a nice run with it. That it's not just going to be something like they did with the NXT women's title that they did last week, where I heard about where Roxanne, who was the former Roxy, she and Cora Jade won the women's tag team titles at Bash at the Beach, and then the very next week, Cora turned on her. So I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think they're going to let it play out a little bit, or maybe
But we don't understand long-term storytelling.
No, not at all.
Come on.
But we might get a Swerve, no pun intended, where maybe neither one of them turn on each other and they have a nice, healthy tag team run.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
and maybe
for all we know, this is like the next best tag team in AEW.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they've got a side. It seems like at some point, like, you have to put the titles on Powerhouse and Ricky. Just because they're so good, they're so charismatic.
Those two have really, I mean, Ricky Starks was always great on the mic, but those two have really like grown, and become some of my favorite people to see on the TV.
Me too. Like, I would not have been, that was a match where I would not have cared who won, because I would have been happy either way. And I'm just happy that it's Swerve and Keith Lee, especially like, because we have to bring it up again. Keith Lee nearly died last year.
Right.
That's like, this man almost was not here with us. And to see how far he's come in the last year, like, just, he's done so much. And we know he was in such a crappy position in WWE. He was doing that awful character, and he was doing the best he could with what he was given. And then he had the health problems, and he's been building his stamina back up. And, when he first signed, there were some people who were like, oh, well, it looks like he's out of breath, and his cardio is terrible. And Keith just keeps proving them wrong over and over, and there's nothing you can say now. I mean, and you saw what he was doing in the match on Wednesday. He's definitely where he's supposed to be. Keith is fine, and those aren't I don't think those should be concerns anymore. And then he's got somebody like Swerve who's wrestled, and in the same way that you've got to talk to Keith Lee, I had an opportunity to talk to Swerve for a few minutes before he went to, and it was like one of his last shows before he went to WWE, and he was so nice, and he was wonderful. And then I don't know if did you see the video after the show, after Dynamite went off the air,
where Keith Lee cut that promo. I did not actually get to see it. I heard about it and kept meaning to get back to it.
He had tweeted the day before, and I actually didn't see it until Wednesday, but on Tuesday he had tweeted and said that he'd got some not great news, and I was concerned. I was like, oh, please don't be a health setback. Like,
yeah, please.
And then he was just like, but whatever happens tomorrow, it's for these two guys. And I was like, well, I'm wondering what that's in reference to. And then I was like, man, I hope he's healthy. Like, I hope that he's okay. But then they won the titles, and I was like, okay, his health must be fine because they wouldn't have done that. And then he cut this lovely promo about how it was just very authentic. It's two of his friends, or one of his very close friends that he's known for over 20 years. And he made a joke about how you must be thinking, God, Keith Lee is old. And he was like, I am old. But he has stage 4 cancer. And Keith obviously was like, I fought really hard for my life last year, and you're going to fight even harder. And then there was another friend that he mentioned who I think has also been battling some health issues. And he was like, he's like, I'm all over the place. I'm on the road. But when I come to Texas, I'm getting in the car and I'm driving to see you. Like, he was. And so it was just really a really nice, heartwarming moment to think like, and this is a moment where he's won a tag team title. Like, he's got that validation from his company, and he's thinking about other people, and he's using that moment to talk about these people who mean so much to him. And it just shows you what kind of a person Keith Lee is, and and I think that's another reason people love him so much, is because we see he's so authentic. And then, and Swerve was standing there with him, and Swerve was just like, was very supportive of Keith. And it was really nice to see, like, even with the dissension and character wise, like just people wise, seeing them support one another. And I think it was a really nice moment. And like, I had sent it to my group text, and a friend of mine was like, how can you not love Keith Lee?
Yeah.
Like, how can you say anything bad about him? He's just phenomenal, and he's this wonderful person, and he deserves all good things. And I'm very happy for him.
Me too, because he's going to get to actually be that authenticity will be able to play out in AEW in a way that it would never have been able to play out in WWE.
Exactly.
I mean, and a lot of that we know that works, because look at Jon Moxley.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And he's the realest dude ever. And
yeah.
I mean, but he makes it work, and it's beautiful. And I'm so excited. Like, the Keith Lee thing was very exciting for me, because he's probably, I would say in my top 10 of just, or maybe top 5 of just favorite people. I mean, not like, but I just love it. It makes me happy when I see him on, wrestling and being around, and it's great. And like you said, I mean, the guy had his own near-death experience, and he's out here doing this, and fuck cancer, man.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that's the one F-bomb we get today, but
yeah, definitely. And I will reiterate that, fuck cancer too.
So hard.
It's awful.
Just hate it.
It is. Me
the
too.
Worst.
Yes, definitely.
All of it can go die.
Agreed.
And leave the people alone.
Yes, exactly. So I guess we'll move to a bit of a lighter note here. Maybe there was something that was making the rounds, and I think hopefully I screenshot this. I think I screenshot this so I could read it. I don't know why I didn't send it to myself to just put up here. So there was something going around from PW Insider that seems very interesting. So Big Show, Paul White. Still habit of calling him that. Paul White has been kind of out of action. Apparently he's filmed something, because he's made a movie, because Impact has plugged it twice.
Okay.
I didn't even know. And they're like, featuring Paul White. And I was like, my sister and I were like, what? And
like Big Show with Paul White?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, why
is there an actor called Paul White that's not the same guy?
Yeah, and I was like, and we're promoting it on Impact? Okay. So I guess they were doing an interview with Paul White, and he said that that apparently the Captain Insano character is gonna come back and make an appearance in AEW. And if you are not familiar, that is his character from The Waterboy. Bobby Boucher was a big wrestling fan. Yep.
Okay.
And so Captain Insano, and there's
I was like, I'm looking at it, and I was like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, should I know?
Yes, you should know.
But actually, no. Okay, that totally. I've not seen that one as many times as some of the other ones.
Yes. Yeah, so Captain Insano was it wasn't a huge part in the Waterboy movie, but it was somebody who inspired Bobby Boucher. There's a scene with Captain Insano, and he's standing next to Kevin Kelly. So he says the guy who wrote the Waterboy has approved, and he said Tony Khan and I secured the rights to Captain Insano. There's already an outfit made, and I hope it's the exact outfit that he wore because it's fantastic. And he said the whole 9 yards. We're doing a lot of the prep work, and this will be my last hurrah, so to speak. He said this character is just fun to have, or is just to have fun. We'll see how it goes, but for me right now, this is just a chance to have fun with this character and be a bright spot on the show. We'll see how I'm feeling, and we'll see how everybody takes off with it. So it sounds like maybe this is a thing that they do on like Dark or something like that, because that's kind of where Paul has wrestled some. He's only wrestled a handful of times in a couple. I mean, he obviously had the pay-per-view match.
He needs to be careful because he's
and I think that's kind of I think they'll be careful with it, with him and the whole character, because obviously you don't want it taking away from other wrestlers who need the spotlight and things like that. You don't want to overdo it, but then I think it's just really funny. And I was listening to a wrestling podcast the other day, and I just blanked on their name, and I'm sorry because I know that they're listening. But they were talking about it, and they said that they need to have Adam Sandler come in as Bobby Boucher at least one time. Do a Dynamite
on a pay-per-view,
do like a Dynamite,
like a
thing.
Danhausen type deal, where
maybe
just comes out from under the ring, or
right.
something.
And they actually mentioned Danhausen, like they needed a segment with Bobby Boucher and Danhausen. And I was like, oh, please let this happen. Like, if they're gonna commit to it, then I need them to like really commit.
You may as well go. I mean, go big or go home.
Please, yeah, exactly. I was like, if we're gonna commit time to this, if we're going the whole 9 yards with the outfit, we're doing all of this stuff, then go the extra step. Go get Adam Sandler. Bring him.
You're gonna have to like watch it with that stuff, like you've just been saying it the whole time. Is not too much.
Yeah. And then they could even do like a thing, because obviously a movie usually leads into sometimes it's a movie that leads into it, and sometimes it's oh, I just blanked on the name of the show, but or they have movies afterwards. So I think you could do a lead-in where you like have where they're essentially
doing advertising, promotion for
exactly. Just do the whole thing. You've got Warner's right there. Like maybe they'll just agree to let that happen, and I think it would be really funny. Like if you're gonna do it, like I mean, if you're gonna have Shaq in a match, then you can bring in Adam Sandler as Bobby Boucher and let him. He doesn't even have to wrestle. Like he can just
be there.
He can just be like you said,
a commentary.
Just have him come out there, put a promo in the back, have Kevin
sitting in the front row.
Do something, or like have a scene where he like introduces himself as the water boy and like goes around offering H2O to people.
Maybe he comes out and helps pick up all the freaking confetti at some point.
Right. Yeah, they could do a lot of fun stuff with it without it taking away from everything, just to have something like if they're already like they're doing this stuff with Shark Week, they're doing like the play in with Shark. So if you can do that, then you can easily just tie it in.
I'm sorry, but I think I saw somebody like it was just like a poster or meme, and it was like, Warner Media, do something for Shark Week. Chris Jericho, how about we fight in a barbed wire shark? And I think it might have been the Boom Guys were talking about they would have liked it better if they were actually suspended over real sharks.
I mean, you might as well bash at the beach.
Like, they had a mimosa back.
Right, exactly. You can
and there's not even a shark in the thing.
I mean, I guess maybe it would be an issue with PETA. PETA might get a little mad about that. Maybe.
ASPCA would be more because PETA can't find them. They can only pick at them.
Well, then they could just bring Impact has been using Shark Boy, so just go get Shark Boy and have him like swim around.
I mean, somebody could literally just wear. I mean, they've done the thing where someone's worn a costume or
right,
come out in a diving suit. I don't know.
See?
Anything.
Yeah, so if they can do all of these things and they can bring in Adam Sandler one time.
Yeah, one time.
Bring it in, do something. If it sets up, maybe it sets up Big Show doing a buy-in match or something. Like maybe it's the go home show.
Yeah, it was go home show.
Maybe like the go home show, have Adam Sandler as the water boy, to set up whatever it is, and then have Captain Insano on. I mean, it would be great if they could get Kevin Kelly too, or maybe Kevin Kelly can like film a message or something, just so that they can tie that back in with it. Would be great. So I hope it'll be interesting.
Oh, the possibilities.
Yeah, I mean it's dumb, but it's fun, and like I said, if it's not taking away from, more from other people, then why not give them? I mean,
there's an acceptable amount of dumb.
I mean, y'all put QT Marshall on TV, so
I mean, again, you're talking to someone who likes talking Shopomania a lot,
right?
A lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
I'm good for some goofery.
Yeah, so it's fun when it has
in the right context.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has its place and time, and they can make it work. And so I think this would be. I hope that's
a good one for it.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Excellent.
We'll keep you posted. Stay tuned to Powerbombshells, and any updates that come along about Captain Insano, we'll be sure to pass along.
It's really great. That's a lot of fun. Now that I understand what's happening.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited.
Well, I'm glad we are all on the same page now.
Yeah.
So hopefully, yes. And so I guess getting back to more serious things. So Jonathan Gresham, who is phenomenal, has on Rampage, not this past Friday, the Friday before, he had a nice little heel turn. He turned on Lee Moriarty in their tag match. He's aligned with Tully Blanchard. His whole thing was, I've been sitting at home since March, since I signed my contract. Tully gave me a call and was like, this is my plan for you. Come join me and Gates of Agony and Brian Cage, which is just a very interesting faction.
Yeah. Gates of Agony.
Yeah. And
well, that's fine. I mean, Brian Cage, he's back. He's doing his thing. That's fine.
And I think ROH is probably a good place for him.
Yeah.
So
he will be a perfect fit for the ROH side of things.
Yeah, I think so too. And then, so I guess this means they're done with the Foundation, which is interesting because that was kind of ROH's big faction for a while. And it was like, because Rhett Titus was in it, and who else? There's other people, and I just completely blanked on who else was in the Foundation. But so Jonathan Gresham adding him to Tully Blanchard Enterprises definitely puts them on another level. Like you have one of the best wrestlers in the world, with that faction. He's a champion. He brings gold. He brings instant credibility to what you're doing. Having him with somebody like Tully Blanchard is extremely smart. Like it's because, we've seen a lot of the younger wrestlers are being who's, kind of partnered with veterans. Like we see Lee Moriarty with Matt Sydal. We've seen Matt Hardy with Private Party and things like that. So Jonathan is established. Like, I mean, he's been wrestling for 17 years. If you watch Ring of Honor, you know who Jonathan Gresham is. He fought his way to be the pure champion, and then he finally declared he was going for the world title. And then that's when Ring of Honor announced that they were, going out of business as we knew it. And so literally 3 weeks after that promo went out that he was challenging for that title. And then he finally won it at Final Battle. And I was looking because I was writing about it, and he has defended the title 16 times, but only 3 times in AEW or ROH programming. The rest of it, he's defended, and he's defended several times in Impact Wrestling. He's defended it in GCW. He's defended it in his own promotion, which is Terminus. He's defended it in a couple other places. So I
didn't know Terminus was his.
Yes, Terminus is him and Baron Black, who if you watch Dark, Baron Black is 0-50, which is a shame because he's very good. That. And I knew he was a solid wrestler, but then I saw him on Terminus, and I was like, why haven't we seen that Baron Black? Like, he's very good. Like,
Terminus sounds like something I'd really get into.
Yeah, Terminus is great, and they haven't. It's been so. Yeah, they've had 3 shows, and then it's been a while, basically since the ROH thing came up. Like Terminus has been kind of quiet. They've been trying to figure out what they were going to do and because he's a champion, kind of what they were going to, I guess maybe what they were going to allow, and maybe it was contract stuff. I don't know. But Terminus is finally having a show this Thursday in Atlanta, which is where it takes place because that's where Jonathan Gresham lives. He lives in Baltimore, but I believe he's from Atlanta. It's where Baron Black is from. They've been friends since they were like 17 years old. They've talked about having a wrestling promotion for a very long time, and it finally came to fruition. And they've had some really excellent shows. And so this week, actually, let me find my handy little picture here. I can throw up this card. So this is the card for this week. And so you see the commentary team is Ian Riccaboni and Dave Prazak. Khan, who is in Gates of Agony, is having a match, an open challenge. You see Mike Bennett's there. They do have a women's match with Masha Slamovich and Queen Aminata, Queen Aminata has been on she's been on Dark and Elevation a few times, and she's very good. She has a really cool character. You see the Factory, who I was talking about a minute ago. They're going to be on there. Obviously, we've got Baron is going to be in the co-main event with Jay Lethal, and then that's Jonathan Gresham is wrestling Takeshita. I believe this is a title match. I can't see from this thing, but I believe that that's a title match. Even if it's not a title match, it's going to be a banger.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was like, it was funny because I had just been talking about Terminus like a few days before. And I was like, man, when are they coming back? And then I saw the match announcement was Gresham versus Takeshita. And I was like, not only are they coming back, they're coming back in a huge way. And Takeshita's just everywhere. And he's getting to wrestle all these people. And somebody like Jonathan Gresham is huge. And I think that might be a little bit of a different aspect than what we've seen from Takeshita, because Jonathan is so technical and he is one of the best technical wrestlers there is, which is definitely, that's, his argument is that, he reiterated it Friday night on Rampage was, he said, I'm hold one of the best wrestlers in the world, damn it. It is true. And he's like,
it's true.
And he's like, all these people get the attention. He's like, when you talk about technical wrestling, it's Bryan Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. and, and Claudio Castagnoli. And so then that led to, so he's just like, basically, who's going to come fight me? And Claudio's music hits. And I was like, oh boy. I was like, we
know it's not ZSJ because he's in the G1.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe later. I'd be down to see that match. Don't get me wrong.
Maybe that's a Wrestle Kingdom level match. So hopefully we get that in the Tokyo Dome at some point. But so it was interesting because, automatically I was like, whoa, we're getting this. Also, why are we getting it so soon? Like, why is this happening so fast? So, because it definitely is, I think, a dream match, especially if you're into technical wrestling. Like, this is a really big dream match. And then, obviously, Claudio has the history with Ring of Honor. He was there for over half a decade. He's one of their very best that's come from Ring of Honor. But Excalibur quickly pointed out that Claudio has never won a world title. As great as he is, that's not something that's ever happened for him. So I don't know quite what's going to happen here. I was like, on the one hand, Claudio it's mind blowing that Claudio has never held a world title.
You told me that, I just was like, really?
Yeah, it's amazing that he's never held something like that before. Especially
heard the pop he got.
Right, exactly. And then, so then you're like, well, yeah, then put him, give him the Ring of Honor title. But then on the other hand, Jonathan Gresham, he's fought so hard to have that title, to make it what it is. He's defended it in other companies, and he's newly aligned with Tully Blanchard, and he's the centerpiece. And he is like, they brought him in not on the condition that he was a champion, but because he was champion. So he can't really afford to lose that title either, because then, what's the point of being with Tully Blanchard if you can't keep your title? And then on the other hand, Claudio, I don't know that he can afford to lose a big match this soon. Like, he hasn't, he's only been in, I guess, 3 matches since he's been in AEW, maybe 4.
I guess technically.
I think it's 3. So, sure, he can technically afford to lose, but this is not only is it a big match, it's a title match. And so, I don't know where they're going. I can't really tell where they're going. And then like Ian Riccaboni had this really cool thread where he talked about how he and Caprice used to talk about like what would have happened if we had Claudio and Samoa Joe like at the same time. So it kind of sounds like maybe that's going to happen at some point as Claudio versus. So maybe Claudio. So I was like, well, does Claudio lose this and get a shot at the TV title with Samoa Joe? If Samoa Joe retains at Death Before Dishonor, because he's wrestling Jay Lethal for that title, because Jay Lethal is the longest running ROH TV television champion. And so that's kind of been their whole thing the whole time. Is so I was like, so I can't really, so there's a lot of things that are in play with Ring of Honor that you just like, and even as I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's right. So it's nice to see like what they're doing, but then I kind of don't, which I guess is nice that it's not predictable. Where
I was
they're
going to say, because Excalibur is so good, he may have planted that seed on purpose.
Right. And then even Ian Riccaboni,
because the good ones do that.
Right. And Ian Riccaboni in that thread was talking. So he made basically cases for both, like Claudio and Jonathan, but then he tied it up and was like, but if you're that, like, why would you put your belt on the line against Claudio? Like, why would you do something like that? So that kind of made me lean towards maybe Claudio is going to win this. But then what happens to Jonathan Gresham if he loses? Like, I don't, yeah. So it's really.
But Claudio is like a member of the Blackpool Combat Club, though.
Right.
So he can kind of afford to, I mean, in a way, he can afford it. He's in the crew.
Right.
The interim champ and all,
and the ROH Pure champion,
and the ROH Pure champion,
right?
But also that can make an argument for him to have an ROH title too. So because
and then Daniels is going to come back and be like, everybody has a title but me. And then we got and even speaking of Yuta, like Yuta has a match with Daniel Garcia for the Pure Championship. And that match is going to be insane. And Daniel is the PWG champion.
Oh,
like he won it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he won it a couple shows ago. Him and he faced Takeshita for the title 2 weeks ago, and Daniel Garcia retained, and he basically challenged him again. He was like, I'm coming back for that title. So I don't know when that's happening. But yeah, so there's all these little interesting like things that are happening. And then you have the women's match with Ring of Honor. You've got Mercedes, who's had the champ, who finally got it. And she was no longer the interim ROH women's champion. She was the undisputed champion. She is. But then we've seen this stuff with Serena Deeb. And then you've got someone like Serena Deeb who kind of she doesn't need a title because obviously she's one of the best, but she also is somebody who should be champion. So I kind of don't know where they're going with that either. Like, is Mercedes going to drop the title? I hope she doesn't drop the title this fast. She has defended it.
Yeah, I would if it's kind of.
If you watch Elevation, that's where they've put her. she's had a handful of. There was 1 week she had a match. She had a title match on Elevation, and the next night she had a title match at Dark. Where she defended it 2 shows in a row. And so they've done a little bit there with her. And Serena is a really great opponent for her, which I kind of would hope that Mercedes is able to, because if you can beat somebody like Serena Deeb, like that's huge. And I think Mercedes needs that. She needs that win. And so and I do think Serena deserves the title. And I think at some point she should be champion, but not right now. Like I hope that they keep that title on Mercedes a little bit longer and that they do some more stuff with her, kind of like with the Thunder Rosa, not necessarily where she has to go to other companies to defend it, but where they're giving her better, stronger opponents. And giving her, hopefully
maybe
more
her on Rampage.
That's what I was going to say. Give her some more, and maybe that's kind of why they've been putting her on Rampage, because her and Serena they've done some tag matches on Dark, and Elevation, and then now we've seen them on Rampage a couple times. And then obviously we saw Serena turn on her. So maybe they're going to put Mercedes, hopefully, if Jade's not always defending on Rampage, then maybe they can have Mercedes, or maybe you can do this thing where you have 2 women's match on one show.
Holy crap.
I know that's like a mind blowing concept and only happens like once every 6 months or something.
What are you talking about?
I mean, you could, if you wanted to like get crazy, like you could open the show with a title match, and then you could a women's title match, and then you could main event with a women's title match. Or there's this even more mind-blowing thing where you can have all 3 women's matches defended on Rampage. There's usually 3 to 4 matches anyway. Why not make them I mean, might be getting a little too crazy.
You are just pushing your luck, honey.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since Rampage's match ended up being, the women's match was 2.5 minutes. No, that's a lie. It was 28 seconds. Because they did the thing with, before the bell rang, they all obviously fought each other. Then the bell rings and the match lasted 28 seconds.
That's not really can we really count that as a match?
I mean, I guess because bells ring, and so it technically
but I could go ring.
no.
I could ring a bell right now.
Right?
I mean, maybe they will. You never know.
Yeah.
I hate to ring a bell and find out the hard way that someone was willing to fight me and be like, "Where'd you come from?" Run in!
Apparently, that's what I need to do, is ring a bell and then have a fight with my microphone. Because
there you go.
Maybe my mic hears a bell somewhere, and that's why it tries to fight all the time.
Maybe it's an aggressive, antagonistic microphone.
It is. Well, it should know that I was.
It's gonna fall down if you keep it up.
I know. I was on Prime and I was looking at microphones that don't have tripod.
Don't tell it that.
I mean, I don't have it yet. I'm still looking at all the options, but listen, if I start playing nice, I won't need a new microphone.
Right.
You've made it with me. You've made it with me 21 episodes, microphone. So we could go 21 more if you would be nice.
If you would just stay up on your feet. On your feet, microphone.
Just please stop trying to fight me every week.
Although we should seriously stop talking about it before it
I know. It's already done it twice. It's been
all right though.
It's been all right the last little bit, but
it's kind of our gimmick now. I don't even care.
Yeah,
it's part of our entire.
I need
part of our atmosphere.
I need to find out their shoot name, but the Twitter follower that we have at Ace of the Indies, who is a great friend of Fight Game Media shows, always the last couple of times has tweeted me and always talks about me and my microphone, and he told me last week he was going to nominate it for Wrestling Observer Shoot of the Year. Which I thought was great. So I was like, feud of the year.
I would definitely vote for that.
It might get 3 votes. It's going to be me, you, and at Ace of the Indies, who I promise I need to find out what your shoot name is. Unless you just want me to call you Ace of the Indies, which I'm fine with that. I can call you that too. And he also, speaking of, I don't know if you saw it before we started to record, he sent us a GIF of Tom Lawler. A clip from Tom Lawler in his tag team match from G1 this morning. I think it was from this morning's show. And it's Tom, and his shorts are a little bit longer. He's going.
I saw, so I was like, I'm not going to watch the first day because I'm busy and I'm doing all these things. And I lied, because as soon as I got up and was doing things, I put it on in the background, and I actually got to see him in the first day of G1, and I know that Kevin Kelly was saying that he has the longest distance to his first individual G1 actual match. Because he's like at the end of A block, so he won't fight
he's got a while.
I think I have it written down somewhere, because I went through and I marked all the ones I wanted to see that were no misses for me, and then the date that they're on. So that if I'm struggling with shows, and it's really, I'm still incredibly bummed out about the cheering thing, and the extra participants thing seemed unnecessary to me.
Right.
It just didn't seem, especially in another year where we're not 100% G1, and I understand trying to mix things up, but you guys haven't had a real G1 in such a long time that it's a struggle for me to try and feel excited about some of that stuff. But at the same time, the first day's main event was Okada versus Jeff Cobb, and I'm going to watch that because it's Okada versus Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't want to see them wrestle?
Right.
So, I mean, but yeah, no, Philly Tom, he looks great.
Yeah. I saw the picture from the
He's wearing the jorts, man. He went with it.
I didn't watch the press conference, but I saw the picture and I tweeted it to the Powerbombshells account and said it's called fashion, and it's Tom has on like a denim bucket hat.
Nice.
Then he had on like the shirt I don't think was denim. I think it was a blue undershirt. He had on a bow tie, but then he had like this denim looking fisherman's jacket over top of it, and I think it had Tetris designs. I think it was Tetris.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and if it's not, that's what it looked like. Then he had his jacket tied around his waist, so it's like hanging out from underneath the fisherman's jacket, and then he had jeans on. So he was going for a whole look. That's why I said it's called fashion. Ever heard of it?
I was very pleased to see him in his jorts and fringy boots and
I haven't seen the G1 yet because yesterday when it aired, I knew I wasn't gonna have time yesterday because I went to see Garth Brooks, and then we got, because the parking deck was a nightmare.
Sure.
We sat on the level we were on for an hour, just on that level, and then we were going through the parking deck, and we'd get through each level a little bit faster, but we found I think we were on like the 6th level, and there were these people who were tailgating after the show. Like, I guess they tailgated before, so they knew they weren't going anywhere for a while, so they had their table out, they were all sitting around it, they had all their food, I was like, they must be like professional concert goers. And so
we for Ren Fair, because it's a pain in the hole to get out of Ren Fair most of the time, we very much have like a little group that basically does the same thing, where we all sit around in the parking lot once everything's shut down.
That is
and
super smart.
Wait for everyone to leave, and we hang out, and we will do like food and stuff like that too.
That's awesome.
It is it's a smart. It's smart thinking.
Very smart. That's what we thought. And we didn't even think to, I don't know why I didn't think to pack snacks like in the car, which I was like, maybe it's the first concert. And that's what I was trying to remember. This is the first concert I've been to since I went to see Elton John in 2019. It was, which was interesting because that night it was wonderful because my sister and I are huge Elton John fans, but it was also AEW's very first Dynamite, and we had Elton John tickets for months. And as much as I love AEW, Elton John comes first.
You can watch it back.
Yes. But we were talking about how like we rarely go to concerts anymore because Ticketmaster's so terrible with because they do that new price, like basically the price is based off of
how the tickets are going.
Well, and how many people want tickets, basically based on demand. And so they jack up the prices. And so I was like, at least with Garth Brooks, it was a set price. Like, he made all of his tickets like one price.
Nice.
So it was much easier to go see him. And I wanted to make sure that because my mom hates big crowds. But I was like, you have to see Garth Brooks. I saw him when he was last here 24 years ago. And my cousin and I went, we were like way up in the nosebleeds and had a blast. I was a teenager when I saw him. And so we bought tickets originally like 3 years ago. It was supposed to be a birthday present for my mom. And then the pandemic happened and they postponed the concert twice. And then the third time they just canceled it and refunded our tickets. And then he was like, I'm coming back. And I was like, I have to try. And it actually ended up working out better because we had better seats. I mean, the seats they were still pretty decent, but they were better than the original seats. So it worked out nicely. And then it turns out he was filming some of the, he added it because he felt bad about what happened with Charlotte. He added a Friday show. So it was Friday, Saturday, and he was recording both shows for a future live album, which was cool. Yeah. So I was like, well, so it ended up being like a really, like an even better experience. But my whole point to all of that was that it's not, so it took us over an hour. The concert ended at 10:44. We got home a little after 1:00 this morning. And on the way home, I didn't know a road was shut. Like one of the main roads we used was shut down. So we had to reroute. So I think Miley thought I was never coming home. That poor girl. I mean, Roman, our cat, was like, he's just like, whatever. And he was like,
I'm a cat. I can.
Yeah, he was fine. But Miley was just like, the poor girl. I knew it. I was like, she's going to have to go to the bathroom. Thank goodness she didn't go in the house, which if she had, I would not have blamed her.
No, of course, that's such a long time.
Yeah, it was a very long time. But she was jumping on us, and then she was like, and then I could see, and I was like, all right, we'll go outside because I can tell your eyeballs are probably floating. So, so that's why I thought she was gonna hang with me in our, because she's been attached to me all day because we were gone for so long yesterday, and so. But yeah, so I think tonight, I think we're gonna try to watch G1 tonight. My sister's birthday was Wednesday, and so
happy birthday!
Thank you. I'll tell her, and well, she'll probably see it, but I will tell her. But she, so Wednesday was her birthday, and we actually had to pause Dynamite like partially through because she was opening gifts and stuff, and then she was doing. So we were behind. Like we texted our friend group, and we were like, we're behind, which is a good thing we did because we would have been spoiled for the main event. And so they were like, okay. And so they didn't say anything to us and then we were like, oh my God, the main event. So we're going out with our dad later today. So I think our plan is, and I need to watch yesterday's Strong. So I can see because next Sunday I will be at Strong at the tapings. And so I will see so I will see the finale before, and so then I guess I'll have to keep it to myself and not talk about it on here.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, so we'll keep it to ourselves. But yeah, so
if I had to keep the results of Rampage secret for like 3 days, then...
yeah, exactly.
Even though the guys on Observer Radio that I listen to spoil it every week, so I'm just like,
so somehow I didn't. That's the one that was really good. I did not see spoilers for that, so we'll be careful. With New Japan stuff because they're gonna tape because I think they usually tape like 4 weeks in advance.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'll be about a month.
So. Yeah, and so there's some other, and then I've seen the card and they keep adding to it, and they're adding some local people in. And one of the matches that I cannot wait for, it is not a tag team title match, it is a tag match though. They put in the Workhorsemen. Who, if you watch this show, you know those are my guys. Those are people I've known for like 7 or 8 years, and they are wrestling Kushida and Ren Narita.
Oh,
I was like, oh my God. And not that I don't love Ren Narita, because I do, but I was like, Kushida is one of my favorites, and he is wrestling JD Drake and Anthony Henry, and I about lost my mind when I saw
they announced news.
4 matches, and I just zeroed in on Workhorsemen, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for them. I love them so much, and I was like, and I want Tony to, and I love JD Drake, and I do love the Wingmen. I do have a soft spot in my heart for them because they're fun, and I get to see JD Drake, but I want Anthony Henry to side with AEW so bad because I know that tag team division is stacked and they really can't afford an extra tag team, but sometimes you have to make exceptions when you have good talent, and Workhorsemen is it. And I love them and I want them to be, and they've wrestled in PWG a couple times. They had a tag team title match 2 or 3 PWGs ago. They wrestled Kings of the Black Throne, which is Brody King and Malachi Black. And they're the tag team champions over there. And so I was like, so I'm very excited for that match. And we'll go over. So I think the plan at this point is next Sunday we will record before I head out to New Japan. And so we'll go over the card more then. At this point, it does not look like they're doing meet and greets. They have not announced any, and we're a week out. So I think I'm wondering if it's because New Japan is being very careful with their talent. They've been doing a lot of the online meet and greets, like Fred Rosser just did one. I think Jeff Cobb, I saw that he's doing one. So I think they're just trying to be very protective of the wrestlers and how they're letting them interact with fans, especially because, we obviously can cheer and things like that. And, masks are not generally required and things like that. So I think they're probably just trying to protect their talent the best that they can. And so I'm thinking, and it doesn't seem like they're going to do meet and greets at all with even cause Eddie Kingston's going to be there. And Rocky will be there and some other talent. So, but it's at this point, it looks like they're not doing meet and greets at all. So if that is the case, I don't think I'll have to leave earlier. So the plan for next week, like I said, is we'll probably just record as normal and get that up. And then the next week I will be back to report on some of it, but I guess not all of it, because I'll try to keep it as spoiler friendly as possible. Unless you guys want the results, but I don't know if they would. Strong might not.
We'll have to see.
Might not like that. Strong might be like, you can't do that.
You're not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. They're like,
Hammer.
we don't even allow gifts. You think I'm going to let some random YouTube show spoil Strong for everybody?
They probably don't watch it.
Probably not.
We're girls. Yeah, I said it.
Touché. They're like, listen, we're giving you a Stardom show on a Stardom and New Japan show in November, and I saw it's the day after my birthday, so that's exciting. Oh,
I like that they're using Star. I think that it was a smart call for them.
Yeah,
at least getting the message that American fans are interested enough, and so doing. I mean, the North American. The North American Strong Tours, whatever, are going to have Stardom on them. And I think that's probably smart because they've got it and they should use it. And
well, and they're owned by the same parent company
right
now.
Yeah.
So that makes it easier.
They own them now. The guys that own New Japan own Stardom now. So, but I don't think that they necessarily know what to do with some of it sometimes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think that this is the right decision. I think at least they've picked up on the fact that like Stardom's big here and we have a lot of subscribers around the place. And
I think also Stardom, from what I've been told, Stardom kind of does their own thing anyway. It doesn't do a whole lot of outside stuff. Like they don't. So I guess maybe that's kind of them too, that they are now having to be like, all right, well, if we're going to grow this thing and there's obviously interest, then we might have to do some things we weren't doing before. And maybe it is just a one-time show every few months or something like that, or having women's matches on Wrestle Kingdom that are not, maybe they'll eventually get to televise them more. I mean, I know that they televised the one this year, but maybe they'll do a little bit more with that. And then maybe it gets to the point where we can see someone like Thunder Rosa on Wrestle Kingdom and I've been joking with friends because Sasha Banks is she's not
in the wind.
Sasha's not taking, or Mercedes. I guess I'm gonna have to get in the habit of calling her that because WWE owns the name Sasha, and
her name is Mercedes.
Yes. So Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks, is not wrestling before January 1st. Has been the word that's going around, and so I was joking that means she's gonna debut at Wrestle Kingdom.
There you go.
Somebody was saying they want her versus Suzuki.
Oh my god, that'd be cool.
And I think then we were saying, then somebody else was saying they want her against Haramu because they're both so charismatic, and I was like, yeah, that would be. I could see that. That would be fun.
Maybe CSJ. That'd be an interesting match.
Ooh, yeah, that would be really cool.
Just because of the style of she's actually. I mean,
she's great. She could put him in the bank statement.
Yeah, totally,
definitely. Then you kind of have to. If you have a bank statement, then you kind of have to put her against Okada, right? Because he has the money.
That's the money.
You
got to work your way to Okada.
Yeah,
you don't send him on your first drive.
He has the money clip. And
he does have the money clip that he's been using lately.
And she has a bank statement. So maybe we make that.
Maybe they should work together. Maybe they should be a tag team.
Ooh, that would be fun. See, we have all these ideas. Come to us, Gato. We got you. But yeah, so one thing I did want to mention from G1 before, I know we kind of circled away from that, but Yano versus Jonah, I heard was very good. That happened this morning. And they said that if it's going to be your first G1, then you're going to get Yano'd, and you should know that coming into it. So I don't know what kind of Yano shenanigans happened, but I'm sure that they were fantastic, and I can't wait to see. And of course, Okada versus Jeff Cobb, probably no protein needed in that match. No protein powder needed.
No. We'll let the jerk balls we just had to get that in there real quick. And also I saw some of the tweets of Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton's commentary referencing that the protein powder incident. I mean, what are you gonna do? Maybe you should joke about it a little.
I mean,
the guy
if that's the one thing you're gonna get him on, when there's multiple other things he could have gotten for. It's just funny that that's the thing that got him. And I was just like, what was he thinking? Like, was he that desperate for it, or was he just?
I'm just curious as to why like protein powder is illegal, or like
right, yeah, because somebody was like, "You're in a country where steroids are not frowned upon, so why did you?"
What kind of protein? Like, what is that? Like, what?
That's a very good question.
Is that a code for something else?
I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
I mean, you know,
Who
we don't
knows?
call certain, you know,
Yeah,
illegal
maybe it is.
substances, but
Maybe
it's maybe
it's a
there's
code
something in
name.
the Japanese version that's special.
Maybe it's a code name for something else.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, he got busted for it, and it's hilarious, and it's the least of what he deserves for all of the things that he has done. But so I'm glad to see. I saw the quote also, the video clip of Jeff Cobb reacting to it, and which was, or like he made a reference to it, which was hilarious considering their thing from a few years ago, and we all know that Jeff Cobb smells good. He does not smell like protein powder. Oh boy. Yikes. So maybe we should wrap it up now.
Wrap it up on
off
that
the rails
again. That's all right.
Yes, but again, we've made it to 21 episodes. So thank you so much for whether this is your first show with us. Hopefully we did not scare you away. You will come back, or if you've been here all 21 episodes or any number in between, we are always glad to have you. We are glad that you are supporting us and the rest of Fight Game Media, because Fight Game Media has a bunch of cool content. Like you can subscribe to their protein. God, can't even say it. Their Patreon.
You don't, no protein powder here, guys.
No.
Totally legit. Fight Game Media Plus. It's only $5 a month, guys.
Yeah, it's only $5. You can come hang out with us on YouTube. Let me put that one up. We're here.
We're
every week
here.
You're exclusively here. You can come see our content, and please do. I'll pop that back up. You can follow us on Twitter. They'll have the updates of the show and what we're planning on doing. That way, especially if there are any changes with how we plan to record and things like that, that's where you will find us. I will probably be live tweeting the G1 when I watch it, so you can come follow me on there. Unless you don't want spoilers, then don't do that. But I tend to live tweet G1, and you can see. We also love the gifts, so we will probably be posting those. We are always
big shout out to Cinnabon for I saw that tweet that when I was Cinnabon wished Takesha luck this week.
Oh yeah, I did see that. They're the great. I love it.
And I found that to be very funny, because he's been, you know, on a excursion across America to eat at every Cinnabon there, and
I saw his
love of them. And I was like, somebody at their social media department, not only being a wrestling fan, but being smart enough to do that.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Well done, folks.
Yes, they're very good at their job. And and I saw
it made me laugh.
He got a gift card the other day for Cinnabon, and he was like so happy about it. So, and I heard, so Takesha is coming back to DPW, which one day I will now really have to get caught up on, because I found out they're coming to Charlotte in November.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that Takesha will be here. I don't know. He might be back in Japan. He's going to Progress in August. Because I saw a match was announced there. And then I know he's got a big triple threat match. No, I think it's a tag team. It's a 6-man match in DDT. So I guess we have to give him back. We're now allowed to keep him here. We can't just lock him in a Cinnabon. He apparently has to go back. But hopefully he will be back soon. But he is wrestling Andrew Everett at an upcoming DPW, which I'm very excited about. And Andrew Everett just got back from DDT Pro, so nice. That is cool. And I guess since we're giving out shout outs and we've been here, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Canvas Theory, who are very nice and have given you guys a 10% discount if you use the code Powerbomb on your order. They have some really cool hats. I'll show you real quick if I can find it. I will show you. There it is. Mm-hmm. And we've got our boy Carl Fredericks, who just had a birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I told him happy birthday from the Powerbombshells account.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he's got the cool Okami collection. He's got a couple of hats. Mel and her husband have them both. They are very awesome. So we like supporting him and a really cool company in Canvas Theory. I'll pop that up again just so you have it. So go support them. They support wrestling. They're a small company. We love supporting small businesses. So go help them out too, because it's really cool what they did for us. And so we want to help them too. And yeah. So let me take this picture of Carl. Sorry, Carl. This take that back on us. I mean, you could just look
We
at
love
Carl.
you, Carl.
You could just look at Carl in his cool hat. But yeah, so I believe that is it for us this week.
Yeah. Yep. This is 21, folks.
Yeah. Please come back for 20. Hopefully we'll be here for 21 more. Come on our journey. We're planning on it. I don't think we're planning on stopping.
Going anywhere.
We're not planning on stopping. So unless Garrett is like, I am not dealing with
I know he likes us.
No, he does. But yes,
he can pretend, but he likes us.
But yes, so we will be back next week. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Follow Fight Game Media because they put out lots of great content for you. And we will be back next week with episode 22 in 2022. But we'll be back next week, and hopefully you'll come join us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, see you next week. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Oh, drinking horn. Drinking horn.
Hey, drinking horn. Cheers. And if you're drinking at home or if you're drinking water, that's cool too. See you next week.